Good morning, everyone. I want to thank you for being here with me today. I'm Jonathan Little, for those who do not know me. I'm a professional poker player, an author of many books, and, sometimes we have a morning show. So here we are today, doing our morning show. Every day, I get lots of emails. I say lots of emails. I actually know some people who get, thousands of emails a day. I get maybe 20 emails a day from fans, people like you. And I'm tired of hearing people complain. I've had a few emails just yesterday. People basically saying, I'm running bad, I can't seem to win, what am I supposed to do? Or poker's unbeatable, or, life is tough. Basically giving me sob stories. And I really just don't care. Because it's important to understand that if you are watching this stream right now, if you're listening to this, you essentially live in the greatest time ever. I think a lot of people try to make things seem difficult for themselves. They want to feel as if life is tough. They want to act as if they are having a hard time and they're struggling and they're making it despite the struggle. But in reality, if you have this smartphone that you're perhaps watching this on, or a computer, you have more computing technology than almost everyone else who's ever existed in your hand. I'm able to talk to you through my phone right now. And that is insane. It's insane. It's literally insane. And I think a lot of people enjoy complaining. They try to compare themselves to others. They try to figure out, or that they do not try to figure out what other people are doing that makes them successful. Instead, they just want to be angry. And while I do understand that certain personality traits lead to that happening, it does not have to be the case. Come Up's kid says, well, the economy was doing a lot better in the 90s. Exactly, you're making excuses. Poker was easier in 2002. Poker was easier in 1981. You're making excuses, right? Stop making excuses. You have to understand that you choose the way you spend your time and your resources. Now, some people think, maybe Jonathan Little was always like this and he's naturally happy and cheerful. But that is absolutely not the case. I tried to pull up a picture, but I couldn't figure out a good way to show you all. It was a picture of me in 2006 playing poker against Dave Benefield and Alec Torelli at a heads-up tournament. And they were both happy and smiling, and I was sitting there with a sourpuss on my face. And that's how I always felt. People thought I was negative. They thought I was unhappy. And I was. So why was I unhappy? I don't even know. It was just like a dumb mindset. I was a dumb, idiot kid. I guess I always wanted to be doing better, and I was not happy with what I had. And also I was not happy with the opportunity I've been given. I mean, do you all understand? Every day, millions of people get up and walk miles, multiple miles, just to get fresh water. I mean, look, to get this tea, exactly the tea that I wanted. Today we have white tea from David's Tea. I'm trying to recall the name. It's Chinese, and I would butcher it. I got this tea, and it took me 2 minutes. People have to walk miles. You know how long it takes to walk even 1 mile? It takes like 10 minutes, if you're kind of getting it. So they have to walk 20 minutes each day just to get water. And that's not if they have to go 1 mile. Some people have to go 7 miles. I don't even know how long that is. It's 3 hours total. No. Yeah, 3 hours total. Just to get water. We can turn on the TV, you can watch me talk about stuff, and that is incredibly powerful, but a lot of people do not appreciate the power that they have and the resources that they have been the resources they've lucked into. People want to think they're unlucky, but in reality, everyone who is sitting here listening is incredibly, incredibly lucky. Because you have these resources and opportunities that literally no one else in history has had. So, stop your complaining. It's important to understand that you have been blessed with all these resources. However, a lot of people squander them. You're given a lot of time, right? Every person is given, a decent amount of time. Clearly, some people live less than others, a lot for a shorter time than others. But you have time that you are given each day. You have to make sure you're using that time usefully. If you are using that time complaining about things, you're essentially wasting your time. If you are complaining but not acting, you're not really benefiting anyone. If anything, you're wasting other people's times. So you're taking your time, throwing it in the garbage, and then throwing other people's time in the garbage. Why do you want to do that? Well, it essentially says that you do not think that you have any worth. So if you do not think you have any worth, please know that is not true. Even the crappiest people can change their lives, you know? I mean, you see people who go to prison, they've done horrible things. Often they've been just atrocious people, but they go in, they figure out that they have done wrong, and they come out, and they are often much better humans. Sometimes, not always, of course. Everyone does not change. I mean, like I said, looking back, I realized I was an idiot when I was 21, and I did not recognize and appreciate the opportunities that I had. Somehow, between now and then, I changed. I actually wrote a blog post about this a while back about how to not be disgruntled. I was thinking about one particular player when I wrote this, because he was just very angry that life had crapped on him. And to be fair, life did not crap on him, he crapped on himself. And if you crap on yourself, you can't really be mad at other people. You should be mad at yourself. But not just mad at yourself, you should resolve to right the mistakes that you have made, right? Do not think that life is crappy and I just can't change it. You can change it. Imagine you played poker, you had some money, and you blew it. That sucks. Somehow you blew your bankroll. Okay, we have stone, no money, and no job. What can we do? Well, if people don't think you're good at poker, they're not going to give you any sort of loan or backing or anything like that. So how do we get a hold of money? Well, you can either get a job, or you can do things for people. You can help people out. An easy way to do this: go to Craigslist. People are trying to give away their stuff. They don't want it in their house anymore. If you go on Craigslist right now, you can find people giving away a treadmill, okay? Go get a treadmill. Take that treadmill and sell it on Facebook for $20. This will take you 1 hour and you'll make $20. Now, of course, this requires you to have a truck, but maybe one of your friends has a truck to carry the treadmill. Or, you know, maybe they have a bunch of records. Let's just say a bunch of records they're going to throw in the trash, or a bunch of books they're going to throw in the trash. Take it to a used bookstore and they'll pay you 10 cents a copy, or 10 cents a book, right? And there you go. You're printing money. Now you're making $10, $15 an hour, and you can very quickly get a $1,000 bankroll just by working. The problem is a lot of people don't work. They want to have things handed to them. And this happens to all sorts of people. Even well-to-do people want to have things given to them. I mean, you see some well-to-do people get very angry or entitled when things don't quite go their way. I mean, I've had this happen to myself. I realize that I'm an idiot. I'm still an idiot. Like, I remember recently, about 4 years ago at Borgata, tournament just ended at midnight, okay? We played till midnight. The bakery there closed at midnight. So, I go downstairs at 12:02. There's a line at the bakery. They're serving everyone. Then they decide, you know what, we're going to cut people off when we have hundreds of poker players walking back to their room who would love to have a pastry. And I got angry. But that's stupid. I should not get angry. Just because if I was the business owner, I would obviously keep it open because I'd like to sell 30 extra pastries. They do not have to have the same priorities as me, right? They don't care about making money, and that is okay. I'm not entitled to be served. That is a stupid thought process. So don't get angry whenever people do not treat you as you would like to be treated. Because they are not entitled to treat, or you're not entitled to be treated any particular way. A lot of people think, oh, I'm special and I need to be pampered. But no. It's an absurd thought process, and thinking this will lead you to having negative views on life. I have a few notes right now. What else do I have written down? Oh, your resources. Time is one of them. Another one is money. A lot of people who play poker, they have significant leaks. Right? Say they even win at poker. Say they win $20 an hour playing poker, but they spend $100 a day on cigarettes and alcohol and scratch-off tickets. Well, there goes all your profit each day, right? And clearly you're going to have living expenses beyond your cigarettes, alcohol, and scratch-off tickets. And you're going to go broke, despite being a winning poker player. And it's not poker that messed you up. It is your own mistakes, right? It's your lack of self-awareness that has screwed you. So, you can't let that happen. Also, you have resources like your health. Whenever I was 18 to 21, I sacrificed a lot of health, which I do not think was smart looking back. But if you look at every high-stakes poker player, they all sort of did, where I would just essentially sit and play poker all day, every day, either play or study, for about 13 hours or 14 hours a day, every single day, for years. Made me in very bad shape. I gained like 40 pounds. I wrote a blog post, actually, how I lost 40 pounds because I lost it all back. And that's not good. I mean, you have these resources that you can use in any way you want, and a lot of people just squander them, right? They watch TV all day. They spend all of their money on frivolous things, whether it be consumables, like cigarettes and alcohol, or gambling, like playing craps, or designer handbags, or fancy shoes, or a nice car, or a house that has 3 extra bedrooms that you don't use, right? I mean, people spend their money unintelligently. So let's talk about poker. I understand that in poker, there is a lot of variance, right? Variance is part of poker. A lot of people do not understand, though, that variance is part of poker. And that's a mistake. They hop into a game that they do not understand. So, can you be mad if you do not understand what you're getting into? That would be like me signing up for a marathon, running 2 miles out of 26, and saying, oh my god, my feet hurt, this is terrible. It's like, well, duh, right? Whenever you sign up to play poker, you are signing up either for a very high variance gambling game because you're only going to play a little bit, in which case you should know if you go to the casino and play blackjack, right? You're going to win or lose frequently. Or you're signing up for a very long run game where you're going to try to be a professional, right? So if we're going to try to be a professional, it is a long-term game. We are going to play a lot of hands. We are going to win some. We are going to lose some. And that is a-okay. You're going to have variance. Do not let that bother you. Let's see if I can get the sound. Speaking of which, we have a marathon trophy. This is from the 2012 New York City Marathon. We officially ran it. We did it. Whenever I met my wife, I could not run at all. I could not run 1 mile. And she had just gotten into running for whatever reason. I guess she had a lot of time on her hands. And I decided it'd be fun to run a marathon. So we ran a marathon. And speaking of bad uses of time, in my opinion, I will never run long distances again because I think it's a horrible use of your time. Now, I listened to a ton of podcasts during this time, and I probably got a little bit smarter. But you can probably do better with your time than running 18 miles on the weekend. That said, often you trade time for enjoyment. But if you're not enjoying what you're doing, why are you doing it? A lot of people do things that they don't even like doing. I know this happens with me with games, right? Clearly, if you're playing poker to try to win money. But some people will sit there and play Magic the Gathering or Hearthstone. They'll play formats they don't even like just because they think they're supposed to be doing this thing. And they don't even like it, right? Or say you're watching a TV series. Let's take Modern Family, for example. That show has been going downhill for a while, in my opinion. Yet, I still watch it. Why? I don't even enjoy it that much. Although the last episode was very funny. The episode before that was just miserably bad. It was boring. Just straight up boring. People feel committed to the things that they think they're supposed to be doing. Paul says, how do you enter chat? Paul, I can see everything you're chatting. If you're here on Twitter, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, or Periscope, which I think is also Twitter, or Instagram, did I say two of the same ones twice? I think I did. I can see your chat, or at least I should be able to see your chat. Anyway, the whole point of this was to try to get you to stop complaining and understand the amazing opportunity that you have. If you have a smartphone, you can make a decent amount of money just from doing stuff on your phone. Do not think that you must have a great job or that you must be a world-class poker player or doctor or whatever to make money. most people are pretty proficient at some things, right? For example, I'm proficient at Magic the Gathering. If I had no money, I'll tell you what I'd do, is I would flip Magic the Gathering cards. I know how to do it, because I did it when I was a kid. And, I'd probably make 10 or 20 bucks an hour. Not great money, but it's a job I can do at my home, in my free time, whenever I want. Which is what a lot of poker players value. The problem is, a lot of people just don't want to do work. They are lazy. And if you're lazy, the only thing you're allowed to complain about, in my opinion, is your own work ethic. And in my opinion, if you complain about things, you need to be changing the things. You should be actively trying to change the things. This happens with politics, with religion, with your job, with your relationships. If you are complaining about them, stop and instead resolve to fix the problems. And all problems cannot be fixed. Some things move very slowly, like politics and religion, for example. Those move very slowly, and often your view is insignificant. And your work will be relatively insignificant. And that's because you're part of something gigantic, right? And it's important to understand that you can only do what you can do. And you have to be okay with that. All situations will not be perfectly to your liking, but again, realize we are living in the best time in history. And if you think otherwise, you are blind. Media will blind you. It's important to understand. Media is trying to get you to click on their link. They're trying to get you to watch. If it bleeds, it leads, right? They want to show you bad things. But most things in the world that are happening are not actually that bad. They're pretty great. Of course, there are some bad things. But don't be a fish. Don't be a lemming is what it amounts to. What draws me to Magic? What do you love about it? You have a hell of a passion. I do have a hell of a passion. What do I love about it? I think it's nostalgia, honestly. The game is very good. So good game. It changes every time. Like, in poker, most flops are relatively the same. Where there may be, 100 different flops, right? And once you figure out those 100 flops, you figure out the 100 turns that go along with them, or the 45 turns that go with them, whatever it is. And most of those turns are the same. Like a 2 of clubs is the same as a 2 of spades, is the same as the 2 of hearts, right? So there really aren't that many differences. In Magic, the game changes consistently. Like imagine, you remember what Global Poker League was trying to do? What they made a game called Hold'em X, where they had like powers in poker, where you could get a third card, you could change the turn, etc., etc. They can change those powers, and those changing that will change the game, right? So Magic does this every 3 months. They change the game up every 3 months. And changing the game makes it more fun. Whereas if you just play No Limit Hold'em, it's the exact same game. People may use different strategies, but it really is just the exact same game. The rules are the same, and it's stagnant. Art, welcome in Facebook. Hello. All right. You're saying limited, not so much constructed. Believe it or not, so I mostly play Vintage and Legacy, and those formats do change significantly. I mean, just look at Vintage, right? They introduced Paradoxical Outcome. No one even got it for like the first year, and now everyone's playing it because people are slow, right? I crushed online with Paradoxical Outcome for like 3 years, for that full year. Before that, with Jeskai Mentor, because people didn't understand that Monastery Mentor was good. They just weren't playing well. Sabio wants to call into my show. No, thank you. Running 3 miles helps you? Yeah, I mean, running is definitely a great thing. It'll clear your mind, it'll help you out, etc., etc. How many binds do I need to move to the next level? JonathanLittlePoker.com/bankroll is the Bankroll Bible. Check that out. Sick shirt. Everyone likes my shirt today. That's nice. Do I think we can make a living from just poker alone? What stakes do we need to play? That is not a good question. Try to figure out why that's not a good question. Everyone sit there and think for just a second, why is that a bad question? The question was, can you make a living from poker, and what stakes do I need to play to make a living? Someone says, what coffee do I like? I like straight black coffee. As for the manufacturer, is that the right word? I don't think it's the right word. The coffee maker, whatever that is. I like Café du Monde. You want to hear something absurd. So Cafe Du Monde, what they do is they take their coffee and then they mix it with bark. And somehow that makes it taste better. And once you drink it, you become like addicted to it. And then you only want to drink Cafe Du Monde coffee. It's genius. Costs them less money. And then everyone wants to drink it. It's incredible. All right. So what's wrong with that question? First, what does a living mean? Imagine you're living in an emerging country where you can live off of $20 a day. And you'd be rich making $20 a day. Well, can you make $20 a day playing poker? Obviously, yes. Right? Next, how many hours do you want to play? Right? Some people, they want to be lazy and they want to play $1 a week or 1 hour a week. Can you make a living playing 1 hour a week? No, you can't. Next, have you studied? Are you proficient at the game? Most people are not. Tim says something very good. You should know if you can play for a living, and if you cannot. Those are the only people who ask. Essentially, the people who ask are the ones who cannot. It's kind of true. Harsh but true, Tim. All right, let's see. We have a question. You're hoping. Let's read this hand. Someone's typing in a hand. It seems like you did not type in a hand. Sabio's just typing some random gibberish. Let's see. You're hoping he has one pair. Seems like, Sabio, I'm missing some of your chat. Feel free to type all of the hand in starting right now, and I will do my best to answer it for you. Also, I can already tell from the way you're typing, you figured he had king, queen, or aces up. Listen, never put your opponent on a specific hand. Always put your opponent on a range of hands. This is a very, very important concept. If you put your opponent on one hand or one type of hand, what you're essentially saying is, I think my opponent is so bad that they have no clue how to bluff or semi-bluff. Which, that is certainly the case in a lot of games. People are very, very, very bad, and they don't bluff. So you say you folded and he showed 8-7 for a missed gut shot. Well, clearly that's a bad assessment on you then, right? That said, maybe he only has one bluff in his range for all we know. But if he only has exactly one bluff, he missed gut shot, straight draw, then obviously, essentially, whatever question you're trying to ask me, we cannot analyze because you're not giving me all the information and you are not putting your opponent on a range. Obviously, there are lots of spots where your opponent can just have the nuts. Obviously, your opponent can always have the nuts in most scenarios. So, if they have the nuts, you lose. What do you think a good VPIP is for a loose, small stakes cash game? It depends on the mistakes your opponents are making. So, DeMonte, imagine everyone's limping every hand. They're limping 100% of hands. What should you do? Better yet, let's say they raise the top 15% of hands and they limp the bottom 85%. When they limp, you should probably raise 100% of the time. And you should make it big because they're going to fold a lot. So, in that scenario, 100% is the right answer. What if they are limping with their only best hands and then calling raises with all of them? Well, then now you should be playing very tightly. Right? So what? The question is not a good one. Whenever people ask very broad questions like, what should you do across the board? Or, for example, how often should you continuation bet? Well, on which boards? Against which people? Which player has the range advantage? Right? It's not a good question. Can anyone on Twitch see Jonathan? Hello, Athenian. Welcome. You should be able to see me. It says we're online. You aggressively go after pots. When I have the range advantage. So what is the range advantage? Maybe people don't understand this concept. For example, let's say you raise from under the gun and the big blind calls. Okay? In this scenario, the under the gun player has aces, kings, queens, jacks, tens, nines, eights, ace, king, ace, queen, ace, jack, king, queen, and good suited connectors, right? Big blind has all sorts of garbage, and probably not aces, kings, queens, and ace, king, because they'd re-raise those. So let's say the flop comes ace, king, 3. Who has the range advantage? Well, clearly the under the gun player has pocket aces, pocket kings, ace, king, ace, queen, ace, jack. These are all very good cards. Whereas the player in the big blind doesn't even have ace, king, so they have at best Pocket 3 is an ace-queen. Ace-3, I guess. So as you see there, the pre-flop raiser will have way more good hands than bad hands, right? So that is the spot where it would be insane for the big blind to try to play aggressively. That would be a giant mistake. And in fact, big blind should have no check raising range in this spot. They should check call everything they want to continue with. And they should also play way, way tighter. They should drastically underfold. Go back and watch yesterday's Little Coffee, where we discuss minimum defense frequency. There, even if the opponent bets a third pot, the opponent should be folding a lot because they're in such terrible shape. Instead, let's say you raise under the gun, big blind calls, it comes 9-8-5. Well, now the big blind has 9-8. They have maybe 9-5 suited. They have 8-5 suited. They have the 7-6. They have the sets. And the best hand the under the gun raiser can have is just aces. So there, range advantage will be much closer. And in that scenario, the big blind should be attacking that spot very aggressively with all their best hands and then also all their gut shots and their open-ended straight draws. Sabio, you're still not typing in your question appropriately. I don't know what to tell you. I have a video that explains to you how to write notes so that people can understand what you're saying. Go to jonathanlittlepoker.com/notes. All right. Is there a good app for tracking profit and loss for tax purposes? I honestly don't know. I just use Excel. Excel works perfectly fine. What's my thoughts on ignition? I think that's the thing you turn whenever you get into a car. Athenian said he rebooted Twitch and it's working now. Not poker related, but are you still drinking green smoothies in the morning? Oh yes, every morning. That is what I have for breakfast. I'll tell you all the ingredients. First thing I do, I put in about 10 blueberries, maybe 5 to 10 blueberries. Then I put in a little bit of parsley, maybe like a nice solid 3 sprigs of parsley. Then I put in 5 baby carrots. Then I put in about half of a head of romaine lettuce. And then I put the rest spinach with a little bit of chia seeds on top. And water. And that's it. Eat it every day. For my wife, I make her the same thing, except for she has less romaine lettuce. She says it makes it taste like a swamp. I don't really care what it tastes like. I'm eating it. I'm drinking it for health. I'm not drinking it because it tastes good. Sabio, you're still not writing the question correctly. Maybe you're just trolling me at this point. JonathanLittlePoker.com/notes. Come back tomorrow with the question. James has a little bit of my smoothie. So I give James a decent amount, maybe 8 ounces of green smoothie each day. It's good. When I met my wife, did I immediately tell her I was a professional poker player? Yes. Funny enough, we were playing at the PCA. I was playing at the PCA. It was my first day there. Poker Stars used to always lose my money. This is before you could just buy it on the client. So you had to wire money there. And I would always show up a day ahead of time because I knew they always lost it. So I'd have to go there, show up ahead of time. It'd take me 3 or 4 hours and they'd find it. So fine. If you know the Atlantis, I had to walk from one end all the way to the other. It's not set up very conveniently if you want to stay in the nicer hotel and you want to play poker. It's like a mile walk. So I walk all the way down there. They say they don't have my money, obviously. Then I was just about to leave. I was about to make my mile hike back to my room. And then I ran into Jonathan Jaffe, Iftari. Very, very good online player. I like him. He's fun. One of my favorite poker players, actually. Anyway, he said, do you want to play a sit and go, $100 buy and sit and go with me, 3 other guys, and all of their girlfriends. So the table is 4 guys, 4 girls, and me. I say, sure, why not? So we're playing, and then this girl comes up behind me. This girl, lady. She must have been 20-something by now. So, for the first time in history, a female has been standing behind a poker table observing and doesn't know anyone in the room. It's probably never happened in history. So, I say, she's standing by herself as well. Usually, clearly, someone goes in there with other people, or they know someone in the room. Anyway, I turn around, chat her up a bit. She says, are there any famous poker players here? And I say, she said, is Doyle Brunson here? Because she apparently had Super System. Because everybody has Super System because they think that's a good book to study first. And I said, Doyle's not here, but I'm kind of famous. And that's all it took. Then I asked her why she wasn't married and what she's doing here, and that's when she fell in love. All right, let's see. So yes, I did tell her that I was a professional poker player. We went out to dinner, and then she left. It was her last day of a New Year's Eve trip. She only went to Atlantis to use their spa, and I was there for poker, obviously. So that was her last day of a New Year's Eve trip. She left. Then I chatted with her on the internet a bit, and then I got invited to a charity tournament in New York City. A few weeks later, we went there. I was staying in a hotel room that was way too expensive, in her opinion, and she asked me to move in. So we moved in. Haven't moved out yet. I started with like a luggage size allotment in her apartment. Now we have the whole thing. All right. Where do you play more, live or online? Live at the moment. What are some of the best valued tournaments on the East Coast? Seminole Hard Rock in Florida. That is it. That is by far the best. Also, Montreal. They have a tournament coming up in Montreal in just like 2 weeks. That's going to be very good. I'm definitely going to be going there. Also, Party Poker has a series in the Bahamas at Baha Mar, which is like nice Atlantis. And I'm definitely going to that. It's going to be a lot of fun. The tournament's going to be insane. What index did you start at? Meaning, where did you rank? I have no clue what you're even asking. All right. What is your biggest win on a cash game? I don't know. I know I won 80K live once. I was playing 10-20 no limit. I was just sitting there minding my own business. And then a 100, 200, 400 game started up. And it was two guys who I learned were lawyers from New York. And then a guy named Pat and a guy named Andrew Roble. I figured, hey, looks like a good spot. I hopped in there and I played two big hands and I won them both. Do you think we're playing online against many bots? No. Stop thinking it is rigged and start blaming your problems on yourself if you cannot win. Stop blaming your problems on other people. And if you cannot win, stop playing or learn to get better. Please stop blaming other people for your problems. I don't know if you were blaming people for your problems, but please stop doing that. All right, is this live? It is. You seem to crush way more live, but not online. Well, why do you think that is, Paul? Everyone type in why they think they crush live, but not online. What are your thoughts on Pile Solver? I think Monker Solver is supposedly better. All right, let's see. What do you do when your business collapsed, you're bankrupt, you're 40-year-old with 3 kids, you're taken care of, you love poker, seems like you found a light at the end of the tunnel, blah, blah, blah. Okay. What do you do? Figure out a way to prioritize your time and do what you need to do. I don't know, it's a tough thing. That's something I definitely cannot answer with just that one paragraph. But it's a tough spot. Figure out how to prioritize your time and maybe get a job, honestly. If you had a business and you were good at your business, presumably you have skills, so find someone who will pay you to essentially run your business, but for them. All right. Why is live tougher than online? Many reasons. I'm sorry, why is live softer? I said that wrong. Why is live softer? Live is softer because the players are way worse. Why are the players way worse? Because they don't have enough time to get good. They only play 30 hands per hour instead of online. The good players play 1,000 hands an hour. Obviously, you're going to get way better, and you're going to crush the bad players way harder if you get to play many more hands with them. So, people who say, oh, it's the bots that are beating me online, no. It's just that you're not playing well. Very often, people who beat live poker, but do not beat online poker, are usually decently good at reading people. They're also, perhaps, very good at playing against really bad opponents. But you have to understand, online poker, the stakes that transfer to live is something like 8 times the size. So 25 cent 50 cent is something like 2-4 or 2-5 live. 10 cent, 25 cent online is like 1-2. That's generally the thought, and I actually think 25 cent 50 cent is probably tougher than 1-2 live. So what happens is a lot of people, they move from 1-2 live to 1-2 online, and then they think that's the same game. And then they get demolished. Well, they're actually playing something like 5-10, maybe even 10-20, right? So if you're playing 10-20 online, or it's effectively like you're playing 10-20 live, why are you getting beat? Well, you're only a 1-2 player and you're playing 10-20. Sabio, I cannot look at my Twitter right now. I'm doing a stream. I will send you a message. I will reply to you on Twitter, though. So anyway, online players are significantly better than live players because they get to play many more hands. That weeds out the bad players much faster, and it lets the good players hone their skills much faster. Which is why it's generally thought that the people who are roughly my age, who started playing poker when they were roughly 18, are probably going to remain the best players for quite a while. Obviously, some people will come in, but the people in exactly my generation got to use lots of time to play games where the games were soft. So they all ended up with a pile of money. Everyone, roughly my age, ended up with about $500,000 in cash if they grinded hard for 3 years. As we all could because we were only 18 years old. So we all get dumped $500K. That now gives us additional resources to continue studying, to continue working, and to figure out the game. If you start with no money, well, you're going to have a hell of a time trying to get a hold of money once the game gets a little bit tougher. And often you don't have that resource of just being able to sit back and study and get good. Sabio says he thinks online tougher is because they use software and solvers. We understand. So anyone can use a solver. If you're not studying poker away from the table, you're just not committed. You're not going to ever be a good poker player. Do not blame the fact that other people work harder as a reason that something is more difficult or that you're not succeeding. I mean, obviously, if they work harder, they're going to crush you. They're supposed to crush you. If I go and play a grandmaster in chess, should I expect to win? Well, I'm okay at chess. But no, I would never expect that. Whenever you, a 1-2 live player, go and play 1-2 online, these people are legitimately better than you. A lot of people don't like the idea that someone is better than you. But they are. They're better at poker than you are. I actually discussed this in one of my most recent podcasts, Weekly Poker Hand, where I was playing against Sam Greenwood, one of the best players in the world, and I discuss how to play against people who are better than you. And then I got heads up against another guy, Preben Stockin, who's a very good online player, very good heads-up player, and he's better than me, right? I don't have an ego problem. I am very capable of looking at a spot and saying I have an edge or I do not have an edge, and I do not have an edge against either of those players. So what do? We jack up variance. All right, let's see. The push-fold, the FTT push-fold app, do you only push if you're the first to act in the hand, or do we follow the chart even if players are ahead of us? Oh, only if you're first to act. There's instructions for the FTT poker app at floattheturn.com. You're assuming playing more hands means you're a better player. You don't think so. Well, as you get more experience at anything, you get better. It is well known that if you are doing anything and thinking about it while you're doing it, you will get better than people who don't do it. Imagine we played tic-tac-toe. It's the first time you've ever seen the game, but I've played it 100 times. Who's going to be better? Well, obviously the person who played it 100 times, because they're never going to lose, whereas the person who plays it for the first time may lose. Online players can use tools. The good ones do, because they're smart, right? Everyone has access to the same online tools. That is not an excuse. If you say, oh, I don't think that's real poker, well, you're not living in today's era. Also, why are all of the best online players crushing live poker? Why do you think that is? Because they're better, right? They don't need a heads-up display in front of them to know what to do. I actually just, one of my friends who I'm writing a book with, Michael Acevedo, he is a game theory expert, and he is probably the most proficient person with PioSolver and Munker Solver in the world. We're writing a book, Modern Poker Theory, and he makes videos for the Pokar Backing Company, which I'm an investor in. And he made a few videos recently where he's just going to play a tournament with no heads-up display. He's just going to play GTO in his mind. He's not even going to pay attention to the players. Okay? Not even going to pay attention to what they're doing. And he ended up winning 2 of the tournaments, right? Which is insane. But he's just playing straight GTO. So how does he know this? He studied. He worked hard and he studied. Also, another guy, Draft Danger. He had one of the best online players too. He's also a coach over at Pokar. And he did a stream a few days ago where Someone asked, why don't we have a heads-up display on? He's like, oh yeah, I got a new computer. I don't have it set up yet. And sure enough, you won a scoop event in the stream. It's insane, right? People playing no heads-up displays. They're just playing what they think is close to GTO, but exploiting the bad players. I mean, Draft had lots of reads on the players. And they're just good. They're better than the other people. So stop trying to say that people are better than you because they have extra resources that you don't. Is the Will Tipton book the best for GTO? Do I have it right here? Oh, here it is. This is the best book on GTO at the moment. This is the Bible for all good heads-up players. All good poker players, not just heads-up players. Expert heads-up, no limit hold'em. I'm pretty sure modern poker theory is going to be way more applicable than this book. This book is hard. This is a dense math book. Dense math book. Look, I mean, come on. Does any regular human understand this? Well, you sure better if you want to be good at poker. Anyway, that is the best book at the moment. It's a hard book, though. Certainly not easy. For online, do I recommend start using Pio? I would tell you instead to subscribe to a training site that teaches you solid game theory optimal strategies. How do you get the rough copy of Modern Poker Theory? You can't yet. It's actually not finished. Michael got busy winning WCOOP events. What sites allow heads-up displays? I don't know. Seems they would want recreational players to keep their money longer. Yeah, some sites don't allow heads-up displays. The problem, though, with not allowing something, it's a very, very important concept, is that often if it's not allowed, the only people who do it are the bad actors. So if you try to outlaw heads-up displays, some people are going to figure out how to run the heads-up display. I know, for example, in Nevada, you could not use the Hold'em Managers programs whenever you were playing. Yet, one idiot one time on a stream, decided to stream, and he was just like using his regular setup, playing with his outlawed heads-up display. Like, oh yeah, I forgot to turn it off. Yeah, I mean, you're a bad actor, and you're disobeying the rules, but that's what happens, is the people who are willing to cheat will. And that's really, really bad, because then they're not kept in check by the other good players who also have those tools. So I think it's kind of tough. Sorry, what was the name of this book? This book is called Expert Heads Up No Limit Hold'em. It's a dense book. Most of you will not like it. I would bet most of you will you'll probably get 40 pages through it and then you'll give up. That's okay. A lot of people don't want to do work. I told everyone here how to make $15 an hour at the start of this stream. And no one's going to do it. Because most people are lazy. I hope you all do it, though. If you all have stone no money, go collect that free $15 an hour. You heard you can go to jail for 10 years in Nevada for using a heads-up display. That would be brutal. Could you imagine they send that guy to prison? That would absolutely punish people. All right. I have to go. We've been going about 40 minutes. That's a nice long stream. Hope you had a good day today. We'll be back tomorrow. Same time, same place. How do you make $15 an hour? Go on Craigslist. People are giving stuff away. Often things like books, like records, like sofas, like treadmills. Go and get it. Take it home. Sell it on Facebook for $20. Easy. You don't even have to be good at anything. You just have to know how to use the internet. Did you coast through school growing up? I did generally coast through school until I got to college. And then in Calculus 2, I could not understand the teacher at all. He had a very strong accent. And that's when I discovered poker. And I guess I'd already discovered poker, but that made it really easy to get really into poker. So yeah, I had generally good grades. All right, that's it. Have a good day. Enjoy yourselves. Make the most of your time. You only have one day today. Enjoy yourselves. Remember, time is the only resource that you're not going to get more of. So don't squander it.